Hey guys, I hope you're really well, feeling strong, positive and optimistic. In this video I'm going to take you through some functions of G-Shock watches which I find really useful. One of which is so simple and everyone should be using it every single day, but I suspect that not everyone is aware of it. Please keep watching. Okay guys, let's get straight into it. I want to start with the two Mudmasters, the Mudmaster GGB100 and the Mudmaster GWG1000. Now the GGB100 has a Bluetooth functionality, which means it can connect to your mobile phone via Bluetooth and basically enable the G-Shock connected app, which I personally think is incredibly practical. It allows you to make all the changes to the watch which you would want to do manually via a very straightforward and intuitive application over here. One of the other advantages you have on this watch, with it being enabled for the G-Shock connected app, is this. Watch. I hold the connected button here on the right for 6 seconds. It beeps twice. The second goes to red. It flashes fine. And my phone starts shouting. Even if my phone is on silent, this watch will tell this phone to tell me where it is. So there you go, a really nice practical use of the G-Shock connected app. I mean, we all lose our phones from time to time, and honestly, to have that option as a backup to find it is superb. There's many other advantages of having G-Shock connected functionality on your watch, but that is one of the pièce de résistance for me, so I wanted to cover that as the first useful function. Next up, this is something which is on virtually all G-Shock watches, and I'll be totally honest with you, I'm a complete G-Shock fan, geek, whatever you want to call me. I'm sure you're well aware of that by now. However, I only discovered this about a year ago, and I was very surprised when I did discover it because it's so practical. When you are maybe in a rush, you're driving, you're distracted, and you're going through your watch, and you've had a timer on, for example, and the timer's clicking down because you know you've, I don't know, got to take some food out the oven, or you've got to be somewhere at a certain time. What you sometimes can find is that if you want to check out the digital read at the bottom to see what time it is, you might cycle back to get the time, you go back through it, and then you overshoot. It's like, I'm back on the barometer. Okay, back through. Press. I've done it again, I've overshot. This is something which I used to do quite regularly. And it was fantastic when I discovered that all you have to do, no matter where you're on the watch, there's the stopwatch, for example. No matter where you are on the watch, you just have to hold down the C button, which is the bottom left, for a couple of seconds. It automatically takes you back to the time. Now, that is the vast majority of G-Shocks with a digital readout that will do that. Here's the GA2110. It's on the stopwatch right now. Now, cycling through it, you want to get back to the time and date display. Okay, I've just went through. I've overshot, I went to world time. Go back through. I'm on the timer. You know what? I want to go straight to time and date. Hold a couple of seconds, and it takes you to that display, the date and the seconds on there. So what I'm saying is, this will help you immediately get back to the time display whenever you want. Let's demo it with the GGB100 Mudmaster. So here you got the time, let's call it the home screen on the LCD display. You're cycling through barometer, temperature, sunrise, sunset, stopwatch, and then you want to go straight back to that home screen. A couple of seconds on that D button, bottom left. Time flashes up, 2 arrows point left, and it comes back. Let's go through one more time. There you go. There's actually one thing I wanted to call out again on the GWG1000 when I'm doing this. As I go through, Look at this, I'll hold down, you see those two arrows, and then the H comes up here. I'll do that one more time. The H comes up there. Now that is an indication of how high the battery's charged. H, M or L, high, medium or low. So again, another little useful thing to know about. Let's check one more or two more watches to show the same functionality. So here you're going through the different functions of the watch. You want to go back to that home screen, let's call it. There you go, it brings you back to the day here. So let's say we're on the timer, indicated on this dial on the left. You suddenly want to go back to the date screen with the seconds at the bottom, done. Let's have a look on the GMW B5000, the metal square. You're flicking through, you're on the stopwatch, hold down for a couple of seconds, and it will just flick back. Very, very useful. One more, just for the sake of proving I'm not crazy and imagining this. You know what, I'm sure there's lots of people sat there going, man, this is so obvious, I've known this forever. For me, I haven't, and you don't know what you don't know. So here's the Gravity Master GPW 2000. Love this watch. Clicking through, I'm on the stopwatch, timer, alarm, then back to the day. So stopwatch, hold it for 2 seconds. I'll go back to that day. So the principle is there for all the G-Shocks I think that I own. I don't want to say all G-Shocks ever because I'm sure there's some outliers there. However, generally, if you have a G-Shock, you pick it up, you can press that bottom left button for a couple of seconds and it will take you to your digital home screen. I think that's pretty handy, and if you didn't know about it, great. If you didn't know about it, sorry for wasting a couple of minutes of your life. I hope you forgive me. Okay, the next random bit of functionality is something which most people who've had a G-Shock for a long time may well be aware of. However, a lot of people who've just got a G-Shock or are thinking about buying one may well find this useful. I know I didn't know about it immediately when I got into G-Shocks, but I'm very glad I do know about it now. When I press the light button here, you can see the backlight comes on. Now, I press it once, 1, 2, 3, and you'll see it then fades away after 3 seconds. If I hold adjust and then scroll through the various different modes that exist within here to change, date, key, light. Here we get to light, 3 or 1, 3 or 1, 3 or 1. That's 3 seconds or 1 second of the light. So let's put it at 1, and then back to home, 2 seconds bottom left, like that previous tip, and press it, 1 second, 1 second. Now, of course, the advantage of having it set at 1 is because there's less drain on the battery if you're using the light for a short amount of time. In fact, there's exactly 2/3 less drain on the battery if you have that setting on. However, I almost always have my watches set to 3 simply because I don't have battery anxiety too bad. Yes, I would be annoyed if battery ran out when I was doing something critical, but I think generally you get a good bit of notice if a battery's about to run out. So I'll put it back on 3 and then back to the home setting. 1, 2, 3, fade off. 1, 2, 3, fade off. I think that's pretty handy personally. Now let's have a look at that on the blue and grey two-tone or earth tone GA2110. There's the light here. it went on for 1 second. So I know that when I click adjust here, scroll through the different options. Then I select 3 on here, adjust again to get it back to normal mode. Then press the light. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds. Now, just while we're here, I'm just reminding people the difference between these two watches. You've got the positive display, negative display. Look at the clarity difference. Both wonderful. I don't have a massive difference with negative displays, but certainly this obviously has a advantage when you're doing something fiddly like changing the setting of how long the backlight will come on for. This is darker and is harder to see. Same with the black one, and indeed, and surprisingly, same with the yellow one. I thought the yellow one might have the positive display, but no, it's the negative display. Anyway, I thought you might find that little function useful. Okay, and the final useful function which I'm going to talk about. Now, anyone who actually owns these watches is definitely going to know that they have this function. I'm just going to talk about for people who don't own these watches as to why, for me, a compass on a G-Shock is absolutely brilliant. Now, you might be thinking, well, in this day and age, with Google Maps on your phone or other ways of navigating on your phone, why on earth would you need to know what your bearing is? You know, the truth of the matter is, most of the time you don't. There's only a handful of times, maybe in a year, that I will actually use my compass on my G-Shock. However, when I do, I am so pleased I actually have that on my wrist. Now, the 3 G-Shocks I have with a compass are the G9300 Mudman, the GGB 100 Mudmaster, and the GWG 1000 Mudmaster. Compass is activated on the GWG 1000 by pressing the top button here. It shows you the bearing, and it starts up straight away. I found it to be highly accurate. Same with the GGB 100. Press the top right button here. Let's get it in the home screen. Top right button here, and the GGB 100 slightly quicker than the GWG 1000 actually, bursts into life, and the second hand again directs you to north and displays the bearing on the bottom. Slightly different on the Mudman. Here you can see the compass readout is here, and the bearing comes on here. Digital based instead of analog, obviously, but still highly accurate. And remember, I've had this watch for 11-12 years now, still works as good as it did on the day I bought it. I also have another watch, how could I forget, that has a compass, and that is the Rangeman GW9400. Press the sensor button on the right here, and here you see, I'll get up close because negative display and it's quite a bright day today. You can see where it's positive here, that is where north is. Now, the reason why I still find these watches with compasses on them useful is a couple of unlikely eventualities. They are, you get lost somewhere where you really don't want to be lost. You're in the wilderness, you're in a forest, you're out hunting, fishing, something like that, you're in a desert, and there's no denying the fact that a phone battery is finite. It will run out eventually. Yes, battery packs are incredible. I've got a battery pack by a company called Anker. In fact, I've got it here, and this thing is wonderful. I take it virtually everywhere I go, actually, because I'm that kind of person. I like having kind of backup in all scenarios. I make sure that I've got at least 3 or 4 lights on the battery pack, 2 USBs there, and I can charge my phone very, very quickly. It's basically like it's plugged into the wall. It's fantastic. Now, that is great backup. However, I might have forgotten my Anker battery pack. Also, the battery pack itself is also finite. That might run out. What I'm saying is, at some point, there comes a situation where you will not have directions or maps on your phone due to an unlucky set of circumstances. This is the thing that's going to actually get you home in that situation. If you know roughly what bearing you need to be on, you need to be walking west-southwest, and it's about 10 kilometers away. This will help you in that situation, whereas otherwise you'd have absolutely nothing to go on and you may be walking aimlessly. That's one of the reasons why I really like having compasses on my watch. The other scenario where I find compasses on watches like this highly useful is traveling. So say you get to a new country or city and you don't quite know where the safe areas, where the sketchy areas. I personally have had 3 friends. I've had their phones snatched out of their hands in London while they've been walking along the street in broad daylight by people on mopeds. Now, they weren't in particularly sketchy areas, to be honest. It's just one of those things, really bad luck, and bang, it's gone in a glance of an eye. Now, if I'm in a city or an area where I'm not sure how safe it is to have the phone out, where it might get snatched, I know before I leave the hotel which direction I need to be walking in general, to get to my desired location, and I follow the bearing on the watch. And you know, who's going to steal this? It's a 11-year-old bashed up. I mean, look at the, it's rather disgusting. Look at the amount of detritus on this strap right now. That's because I've been swimming in the sea recently. But yeah, this looks like it's probably a worthless bit of junk, although I know it's not at all. However, what I'm saying is, no one's going to snatch this old G-Shock off my wrist. However, this G-Shock is going to take me to the location I need to be, because it's got a compass. And that's why I love it. Also, this G-Shock is tough solar, so the battery's not going to run out. The GWG-1000 is also tough solar. The battery's not going to run out. The Rangeman is also tough solar. The battery's not going to run out. The GGB-100 is not tough solar, but we know that the battery will last an incredibly long time, and you'll know well in advance when it's going to run out. It will give you a low battery warning, and then you get it changed at your Casio dealer, and all is good. So, the top and bottom of it is, I will always have a watch, a G-Shock with a compass on my person when I travel. I'll probably normally take about 3 G-Shocks with me, depending on what kind of scenario I'm going to be doing on a particular day. I'll probably have something like this for a smart casual engagement, something like this for walking around the city, or this, and yeah, probably the Gravity Master for when I'm on the plane, just so I can make sure that when I get off the plane, I can easily set the time using its incredible technology, which you can hear about in my other videos around the Gravity Master. So that's the functions that, yes, you may have known about them all. Some people won't do though, which is what the purpose of the video was for. I also want to go through one other useful bit of information, which is not related to G-Shocks at all, actually. It's related to this. So you might be wondering why I have some rope out. Now, this is actually paracord. Paracord is very durable, strong, lightweight cord, which can be used for so many different things. I always have some on my person when I go out into the wilderness, and yeah, you never know when you might need some of this stuff. Specifically, I wanted to talk about a knot called the Bowline Knot. So the Bowline Knot is actually, I went to the Sea Cadets when I was younger. I was in the Air Cadets. I was massively into all this kind of stuff. And they taught us that it was the king of knots. It was something that's always going to be useful to you when you are out in the wilderness, and because it's got so many different applications. And it struck me that I still knew how to tie a bowline knot from all those years ago. Let's say that's, 25 years ago. So I was reading that not only is it very useful, but not many people actually these days know how to tie it. So I thought, you know what, it would be pretty cool to put it on the channel and show people how easy it is to tie something that you never know might come in incredibly useful one day. Now, the tying of this knot couldn't be easier or quicker. So basically, here's the shorter end. You just create yourself a loop first, which can just sit like this. And then you can bring the shorter end back through the loop, and then around the back of the longer end, and then simply back through that leftover loop there, pull it tight, and here you have a wonderful bowline knot. Now, one of the advantages of this knot is that you can see it's created a loop, but it's a static loop, i.e. when I pull it, it doesn't get smaller. It is absolutely solid there. I'm pulling as hard as I can on both sides, and it's stuck. So you can imagine the application for a guy rope on a tent, something snapped, you need to make your own, or you're hitching something to a tree, you're hanging something from a tree. Very, very practical, very, very easy. And one of the other real advantages of this knot is that no matter how much force you've put on it while it's being in use, it is always really, really easy to just pull it apart. Now, that's another reason why it's used a lot in the nautical world, because as you can imagine, when you've got forces from boats pulling on knots, it's very handy that they're easy to untie as well. So I just thought I'd show you that. It's just super handy and so easy. So one more time, get that loop going. And then the rope comes up through that loop, around the back of the longer piece, back through the hole, and you are set. Pull it as tight as you need. Done. The bowline knot comes apart so easily. It's advised that you even practice doing one of these in the dark, so that if you are in a situation where you can't see what's going on, but you need to tie something securely, you can very quickly put this together. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. I hope you found the G-Shock functions useful. If you already knew about them, they were really for people who are new to G-Shocks or considering buying one and want to know a little bit more about their functions. So thanks for your patience anyway of watching, and see you next time, guys. Take care.